of you. Oh, what I'd give to see the face of you. From the place of your birth to the ends of the earth, I search only to find address unknown.
Hey everyone, welcome back to J Reviews. You know, I haven't done an NES game in quite a while, and that's sort of how this whole show started. Those things were my specialty, so I figured today we go back to our roots and we check out
It's the spooky season yet again, and you already know what it is. Haunted PS1 Demo Disc, 2021 edition. Yeah, I'm still a year behind, but we'll catch up eventually. This time we've got 25 playable demos, 8 more than last year, so we'd best get started. If you remember from the last Haunted PS1 demo disc, the compilation was organized like a very authentic PS1 demo. This one, however, starts completely differently, loading you right into an FPS perspective in some empty, snowy streets. Did we get auto-booted into one of the games at random? Or Silent Hill? Nope. Eventually we stumble upon a door to an unmarked building and we enter into what is the actual hub for all the demos, a haunted museum. We're even greeted by beloved mascot Scully at the reception desk.
Welcome, friend.
The top 3 floors of the museum house a circular display of spooky demos, each with a stone slab in front that gives a brief description of the game, content warnings, and credits to the game's contributors. But that's not all. Check this out. Every single demo has its own unique exhibit room that matches the look and tone of the demo you're about to hop into. These aren't just rooms taken from the demos themselves, they're custom made from the ground up, just for the demo disc, and require you to either enter a certain area or interact with a significant object from the demo you're about to play in order to launch the game. Even demos that aren't FPS or are even entirely in 2D get their own 3D exhibit room. I really dug the simple but genuine PS1 demo style menu from the last year's compilation, but this museum hub is just awesome. I can't commend these guys enough for putting all this extra effort in. I loved it. The ground floor of the museum even has a couple extra rooms as well, a bathroom and what appears to be a lounge. There's a computer here that asks for a password, but heck if I can guess what it is. This must be some kind of secret or something. I'll have to keep an eye out. Anyway, let's get on with the first demo. And starting off this marathon of ghostly game demos, we have Echo Stasis. Step into your chamber. Let her do the rest. Huh. Interesting format. Did Spamington write this? The first exhibit room is pretty minimalist, just a dark room with a computer monitor at the end of it. Interact with it and the game begins. The demo starts with what seems to be a virus-infected boot-up screen, warning us that we may be in contact with her. It's the first game and I'm already loving the fuzzy VHS tape filtering here. We soon find ourselves on a fog-obscured mountain trail that leads us up to a large chapel door that we can't seem to open. Things are so dark it's incredibly hard to see anything. If we search around a bit though, we'll find some paths around the chapel, and windows showing a blood-red room that somehow both feels threatening and enticing. We gotta find a way in there. I'll admit I was a bit lost here at first, going up and down stairs that didn't seem to lead anywhere initially, but eventually I realized there's these 2 boards you can remove from the back of the entrance, giving us access. And whoa man, this place is otherworldly. The mixture of crunchy PS1 resolution and VHS filter with genuinely beautiful lighting and reflection effects that clearly could only be done on modern software just gives this a real dreamlike quality. Or is it a nightmare? Well, let's find out. As we enter the room, we're warned by the statue, or program of some sort, telling us that this reality is not our own and that we should turn back. I almost considered it too, especially since we're pretty defenseless here until we find the shotgun. Yep, seems like that convinced him. We blast the statue out of the way, enter an even more heavily tripped up area, and then... wow. Apparently that was just the tutorial. And we're back in the exhibit room, or wait, are we? It looks kind of different. No, yeah, we're still in the demo. Holy crap, did they just Inception us? Yeah, they did. Now we can go up to the actual computer we saw represented in the hub and use command prompts to learn a bit more about what's going on here. This game is a trip. I'm gonna have to check out the full release for sure. Our second demo of the evening is Lorne's Lure, and man does it have a tough act to follow. An android is led through a vast structure by a glitch in his visual system. Lorne's Lure is an atmospheric narrative first-person platformer with novel climbing mechanics and modernized retro 3D graphics. A lot more descriptive than the last one. Whoa, and a much larger exhibit room too. What an expansive space. Time to check it out. Lorne's Lure starts with a straightforward cutscene intro that shows our protag android following a mysterious entity into an abyss, eventually leading him to that seemingly endless space depicted in the hub. Now he's been lost for 253 years, and what's worse, his power core is close to running out. He's completely given up hope on returning home. He just wants to find that darned thing that led him here before he expires. That's pretty dark. This one also plays FPS style, but with a much more agile moveset. We're able to run and leap at pretty impressive speeds as we try to navigate this endless open maze. Though there is a limit to how far down we can fall without dying. That means finding optimal ways down from high areas like sliding is essential. The game really starts, however, when we find the climbing picks left behind by this newspaper astronaut. With the picks, we can climb on most walls for as long as our stamina will allow us. As you continue your aimless journey, you'll occasionally run into objects of interest, like these terminals that seem to give some background info on the massive structures we're traversing. Now this is just a demo, but I can already see myself getting lost for hours exploring this place. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up to you. And the game does actually give you the option to turn on waypoints to help point you in the right direction. If you're someone who gets easily lost in open world games such as myself, gotta catch that mysterious figure eventually, right? Next up we have Janitor Bleeds. Enter an abandoned amusement arcade. When the events of a cursed arcade game start bleeding into the real world, will you keep playing? Ooh, I love the arcade. This one starts with us having just crashed our car into a light post, and after walking down the road, towards the ominous red light for some reason, we find an abandoned arcade. You'd think being alone in an arcade would be a great time, but none of these machines actually work. That is except for one single arcade cabinet hidden away in a back room. Do not pee or... Huh, wonder who that's for. Let's see, 3 coins? What is this, the arcade on Santa Monica Pier? This really is a horror game. This isn't just for show either, you do actually have to find enough coins scattered around the arcade in order to play the game. If you're lucky, you may even find a little Scully cameo. Your efforts will be awarded, however, with a wonderful Atari-style game featuring a janitor. Simple enough, we just gotta clean up the messes and find keys sometimes. After we progress enough and unlock what appears to be a portal, power goes out in the arcade itself. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. That's okay, we just gotta lurk around the darkness and find another cabinet of the same game, and make sure we have the funds to play it. There we go. Now we can have more fun cleaning up puddles. Just gotta grab this key. Oh jeez. I guess that portal was an enemy the entire time. Ah, and the darn power's out again. Guess we just gotta keep... Wait, what's that? Yo, is that the portal from the game except in real life? Okay, I did not expect that. If that can come out of the game, then maybe... sure enough, we can pull the keys into the real world as well. Now we can open up more of the arcade and hopefully find another one of those cabinets so we can continue the game. Just not sure where to look. What? Hide? Oh crap. Hide. Yeah, hide. Alright, the fact that the monster in this horror game is a pixelated mess of an Atari-style arcade entity is just brilliant. This is a good concept. Okay, for this next demo, we touch on a much more serious and tragic note, the drowning machine. Before my best friend's passing, we began working on a game together. These excerpts are all I have left. In his honor, it's time to finish that game. This isn't just a dramatic setup for the game's story, it's literally detailing the suicide of a beloved friend and how that led to the development of this game, so it's important to keep that in mind. The Drowning Machine is a much more abstract type of game compared to most of the other demos, mostly in the sense that it's more of an interactive experience than a game with a challenge you're trying to accomplish. You find yourself wandering around surreal, somber environments that feel both familiar yet foreign all at the same time, occasionally receiving text messages that are either poem excerpts written by the lost friend, or what I believe are actual messages between his loved ones who are voicing their concern for him. There's some really heavy stuff going on in this game, and I can see how not everyone would be comfortable playing this, but I really have to respect the bravery the dev has for putting this out there in honor of their lost friend. The hectically sterile visuals and foreboding tone of the game is interesting enough to make you want to see more, but the unabashed real-life elements included cement this as a real piece of art. I really appreciate its inclusion here. Moving on, we have the Hellwald Loophole. The Hellwald Klinikum once had a reputation of being one of the most reliable medical facilities in Germany. That all changed when that weird loophole appeared. The launch trigger in this exhibit's a seemingly dead body. Well, that's a good sign. In this one, we wake up in a storage room of a hospital with no idea how we got here. But that's okay because eventually we stumble upon the kindly Dr. Randolph, who will let us know what's going on. He may sound like a demented Animal Crossing character, but that's probably fine. See, he's gonna help us out. Oh no, what? No. It's unusual when a character actually sounds scarier speaking English after only making garbly video game noises before. So the goal here is clearly to find a way to escape the Mad Doctor, and there's multiple endings depending on what you do. You can try to get a head start at the beginning, but he wastes little time chasing right after, and you'll have no idea which routes will lead straight to a dead end your first time around. If I could just find a weapon. But there's only these unused syringes laying around everywhere. Gotta be something. Ah, an unused syringe. Come on, Doc. I'm ready for you. Ooh, got him with a taste of his own medicine. After subduing the Mad Doc, we find ourselves in another part of the hospital. Well, I can't imagine we'll stumble upon anything worse than that guy. Whoa, Jesus Christ, that got me good. And the best part is that this guy isn't even an enemy. He was just asking us for help unclogging a toilet. That might be the best false jump scare I've ever seen. Okay, that is actually horrific. This area does have its own enemy though, of course. This time with Nurse Heideltraut, a lumbering aide who will headbutt you into next Tuesday if she catches you. Same as the first area, we just have to look around and find a way to make our escape. I actually think this is one of the standout demos of the whole thing. This game just plays into the surreal creep factor really well, and you feel really motivated to escape this deranged hospital and its crazy inhabitants. Interestingly, this demo was done by the same dev as one of my favorite demos from the 2020 Haunted demo disc, Insomnia. You can really feel their style permeating throughout both of these games, so I think I'm gonna have to keep an eye out on their future output. Now we have Agony of a Dying MMO. In 12 hours, a once popular MMO will permanently go offline. These are its final moments. That's actually a really interesting concept. What is it like for players experiencing the final moments of an MMO that they put months or even years of their life into? So this demo is pretty much what it says it is on the tin, but it's actually pretty intense in how it goes about it. You're kind of just experiencing the end of the MMO as you're constantly switching between perspectives of different players and hearing other people talk about some really dark topics in voice chat. There's players saying that they wasted so much of their life playing this game and that they have nothing left to live for. People saying they lost their family because of it. Others sad from the fact that friends they hadn't met up with in years aren't showing up for the game's final hours. Lots of heavy depressive stuff between players who used the game as an outlet that they clearly didn't have in real life. And tons of random inappropriate comments happening in both voice and text chats as well.
Where are you two furries going? You ever walk into a strawberry factory with a bunch of strawberry people and they're all made of strawberries and you're just like, fuck you! I'm gonna kill you, you bunch of fucking strawberry motherfuckers! Yeah, and they all just fucking die.
Even the NPCs seem to be aware that the end is coming, though it's uncertain if this was programmed in or if they're actually aware of their impending doom. All the while, there is apparently a Nazi faction in the game planning some big final coup. The game apparently has something known as the Level 99 Curse, where any player who achieves Level 99 has bad things happen to them. But if you're able to find a mysterious NPC known as Adam, then the curse is lifted and you're granted great power. So they're all trying to find Adam before the game shuts down for good. This game is just a barrage of strange, uncomfortable moments. There's even separate stream safe and not safe for work modes, which means it can get even worse than what we're seeing here. I checked out the not safe for work one and yeah, it's not pretty. Moving on. Peeb Adventures. Peeb goes on a comedic adventure to escape the bat code of his game after being banished by a mysterious entity. Will he succeed? Huh, this one doesn't really sound like a horror game. Wait a minute, this exhibit. Yeah, this sounds exactly like an N64 Rareware game. That sound font is unmistakable. Yeah, no, this is basically like what if Rareware made a PS1 game. So Peeb doesn't seem all that impressive, but he does have a grappling snout that lets him swing from place to place. Yeah, we got a hub here with level portals, they're not ready at the moment, and a hungry monkey that wants 1,000 bananas. That shouldn't take too long at all. Bananas, banana. Ooh, that's a big banana. Wonder how much that one's worth. Okay. 9,999 bananas apparently. That should be enough, right? Yep, that was enough. Well anyway, once we get inside the castle, we actually start doing some platforming and puzzle challenges. Our main goal is to unlock this gate by finding the blue and green keys in their own respective levels and bringing them back here. These are pretty fun levels on their own, but if you want to go one step further and you search really well, you might find yourself stumbling across a secret red key in one of the levels. And then if you look really hard in the other level, there's this ominous pit. And if you take the red key in there, I may have made a mistake. So, yeah, demonic super monkey ball. Take that secret route on your own discretion. If you go where you're supposed to, though, you'll actually get a boss fight. Kind of. Not really. This is weird, but I actually want to see a full version of this. Next, we have T-Mod, cursed love letters / demake on classic Gmod, and the Half-Life 2 modding scene, with a poetry-based sandbox / exploration narrative hinting at some burrowed evil. This is one of the only demos to not feature any content warnings. Well, this one clearly wears its inspiration on its sleeves. Just as the description stated, this is a play off the classic Gmod Steam game. You're in that familiar sandbox, summoning items and ragdolls, using a gravity gun to mess around with things. I never actually stumbled upon any of the evil stuff that was hinted at in the description, so I don't have a whole lot to say here, but it was pretty fun messing around with the physics in the game. Oh, look at that. I made a missing texture solar system. Woo, look at him go, look at him go. Yeah. Next up we have Sanpo, or Walk. Demo for upcoming horror game from Japan. That's a pretty generic description, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt. What we have here is a classic survival horror inspired situation with tank adjacent controls and static camera perspectives. I don't know who let this little girl go walking around this neighborhood so late at night, but here we are. And it wouldn't be a horror game without us having to avoid No Face from Spirited Away as we try to figure out where we're going and what we're doing. I love the concept of this game, the crunchy pre-rendered backgrounds, having to find and use the right items in the right places to progress, a spooky enemy we gotta hide from and avoid all the while. It's definitely in my wheelhouse, and the visual audio presentation is great. I will say the game is a bit sloppy in places. You often have to walk pretty far off screen to trigger the camera change, which can make navigation harder than it has to be, and the girl's running speed is painstakingly slow, which kind of compounds with that. Like even compared to something like RE1 or Silent Hill, she's a snail. I also managed to find a key and make it through this gate, which I assume would have led to the end of the demo, but it was so dark here after the camera switch that I had no idea what I was looking at, and I got caught by the monster. I'm not trying to be mean here, I'm just pointing this out because I love stuff like this, and I really hope that some of these issues are ironed out when the final game's completed, because I want to play it. Now we have Fiend's Isle, another content warning list game. Fiend's Isle is an action RPG roguelike inspired by first-person games of the mid-90s. Explore a procedurally generated dungeon, collect loot, and fight skeletons. A roguelike? Oh boy! Just want to reiterate as I'm walking through here, these custom exhibit rooms are so awesome. Anyway, this is another demo that explains itself really well in the provided description. We play as a knight as we make our way through randomized island caves full of skeletons, slimes, traps, and treasure chests. Our main goal is pretty simple. We just gotta progress by finding a lever to drop a crossing bridge and then pick up a key on the way to the exit door to beat the level. But these things won't be in the same place each attempt since everything is procedurally generated. If you do find your way, you get to fight a boss skeleton who should look familiar. Yo Scully, what's up? The Chameleon, a tense exploration game with stealth superpowers set in the 70s. Oh neat, so many of the games have an 80s vibe to them, so it's actually refreshing to get something from the decade before. This one opens with an elaborate live-action intro based on like an informational or training video for a research lab.
Confidential. The facility has been set up to conduct science experiments for the benefit of mankind.
So anyway, we play as the knockoff version of the protag from GTA Vice City. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be a disgruntled employee or someone who just broke into the place, but here we are now, avoiding guards and causing problems. These little lights increase your max energy, which goes towards running and punching. Yeah, we could punch the living daylights out of these guys, but they could do the same to us, so we gotta be careful and conserve that stamina. As we progress, we'll also find these floating balls of flesh that give us additional upgrades, such as the ability to transform into a guard temporarily, hence the name Chameleon, I'm sure, and a teleport dash. We start to find text and audio logs that seem to suggest we may actually be an escaped test subject, or maybe we're Dr. F? It's uncertain. Next is Risu. Risu is a story-driven survival horror adventure game. Risu Ishikawa must traverse, solve, and survive a hellish architectural maze of endless personal nightmares. Personal nightmares? Oh boy, those are the best kind. Much like Walk, this one has that tank-adjacent control scheme, but unlike Walk, we aren't hounded by a constant demonic presence as we search for key items. Instead, we're looking through an empty, eerie school building that we've apparently been forced into after something previously had happened outside. In that sense, this demo seems to have actually started us off somewhere in the middle of the game, which is something I do remember a lot of older game demos doing. This is one of those types of games that you either enjoy or you don't. You go around examining objects, finding items, combining items with other items to use with objects in order to obtain additional items, stuff like that. I personally enjoy it, and the dialogue is humorous enough to keep us entertained as we play. If you manage to progress far enough, however, we do get a taste of a bit more than just the traditional survival horror item swapping. Whoa? Is that a bullet hell? This game clearly has more than meets the eye.